Good evening.
Good evening. It's so good to see you, darling.
It's great to see you as well. Did you have a nice Christmas?
I did. Did you have a crazy week? Like between Christmas and now? Did you have a crazy week?
Absolutely. And I don't know if it's just because 2022 is coming to an end and it's trying to put one last stomp on things before it ends. But yeah, it has been insane. I mean, one thing after another, and just things that constantly keep you reeling to catch up and scramble for to get done. And it's been exhausting.
I spent 8 hours outside today raking, baling, leaves, debris, yard stuff, and burning it in the back part of the property. Christine has, my sister Christine, this is her house, and she's got pretty spacious grounds. She's got just shy of 2 acres.
Oh, wow.
So, it's a good piece of property, and it's a lot to keep up.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite shirts, and I burned a hole in it. You probably can't see it because my name's in the way, but burned a hole in it today because I got hit with a red hot acorn. But that's better than 2 years ago when I set my hair on fire.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that would be much worse. Much worse.
Yeah. And then I burned all the hair off my arms because, of course, I had to put the fire out any way I knew how. I never felt it. I detected it by smell alone. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm on fire. This time, the big burn, and I've been working outside for 2 days. And because hasn't been raining or like 4 below zero. So I got a lot done. I got the playpen done. I got all around the barn done. I got the side of the house done. I got the back of the house done. I got the walkway to the back of the property done. And It's green everywhere. Beautiful green. This place must have, I don't know how many trees. And some of them are more than 200 years old. So they're huge. Like huge. Like it would take a number of men with their arms outstretched, touching hand to hand, probably 4 or 5 men to get around the one that's right behind the house. So not only do you have like a foot of leaves, but a billions of acorns.
Wow. Well, you've had a very busy day then.
I save as many as I can for the deer because Peanut saw her first buck the other day. To my knowledge, I mean, she's here sometimes that I'm not here. I ruined my nails. I can't even show my hands. I'm so ashamed. This is awful that I'm doing my show looking like a hag, the wreck of the Hesperus, and I can't help it. And I have 2 different vessels of caffeine going here. I have Coke and I have coffee. So if one runs out, I've still got a caffeine source.
There you go.
Because half an hour ago, Tony, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How shall I do this? It's been a wild week. And, a lot of people reached out to me today. I don't know. Do people reach out to you before we do the show? Do that, say, I know it's coming, or I'm looking forward, or,
they do.
Posts and stuff.
Absolutely, they do.
It's so nice. We have such wonderful viewers, such wonderful followers of our work. And all day long today, I thought, who would I like to bring on the show? Because last week, we had a whole pile of people.
We did.
We did. I mean, it was a pile of people. It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed last week's show. But tonight, I just wanted to talk to you. And I wanted to reminisce a little bit with you because I get nostalgic and very sentimental at the turn of the year. I never go anywhere. I never do anything. I stay home by myself. Inevitably, everyone else is in bed. Nobody stays up to watch the damn ball drop with me. Nobody stays up to watch midnight mass with me. And I'm not even Catholic. I do not identify as Catholic. But every Christmas Eve, I watch midnight mass. I think I must have mentioned that to you before. Talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I always do it alone because of Apparently, I am a solitary creature on Earth. I wanted to acknowledge how important you are to me, and not just to the show. Yes, to the show. Yes, absolutely. I love your backdrop, by the way. You couldn't have done better. You just couldn't
Thank you.
have done better. But in my life, as my friend, as somebody I can talk to about the weirdest shit possible, who totally gets it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the experiences that we had together this year. And not just Laughlin, but also at Vulture City. To be able to spend a day with you was wonderful. And you had Cherie, and you had Jordan, and you had your brightest light that you brought to that event. And it was a wonderful event, but made more so with your presence. And I love doing this show with you, Tony Rathman. I love it.
I do too. And like I said, that was the longest 6 months during that, being on a different time zone, because Arizona doesn't switch time. But oh my gosh, I mean, I would see it go live, but of course I'm at work and I can't do anything. But then I'd finally get done with work and I'd go out to the car and I'd turn it on just to see what was going on, who was on, what you guys were talking about. So that was a tough 6 months to get through. And luckily we're back on Mountain Time, so I'm home in time to make it. So, but yeah, that was I love doing the show with you. And we've had some really incredible experiences, not only in 2022, but in prior years as well. But it's the friendship with you is absolutely amazing, and it that connection and that bond happened quickly, took off fast, and just continues to grow every day. And that's amazing to me, just absolutely amazing. Did you freeze? Or I got you speechless. I'm not sure which. I think you froze.
I froze momentarily, but the force, it's the force. I don't even know what else to call it anymore. Waited until the very end of your sentence. And it's kind of a hello, how are you? Because I'm as tapped in. Like, technically, my sister has me so hooked up to her Spectrum system that there's no way that I could lose you. I know it's them. They did it last week too.
Correct. And we've had that happen many times. And based on what we're discussing, what subject matter we're getting into, we've had it happen over the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been, multiple times.
Yeah. Multiple times just to say hi. It's kind of like a techno wink, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Voices too.
Yeah.
Strange objects floating across the screen, voices coming out of nowhere. It's cool
I know.
stuff.
I love it. It usually sets the chat room on fire when stuff like that happens.
It does.
Well, I wanted to thank you for being part of the film that I was working on while I was out in Laughlin. As well as, being there at the Star Works Symposium with me was just delightful. And, Vulture City rocked. Something happened to me that weekend. I don't know what it was, but something inside me shifted a little, changed a little bit. I don't know what it was. I can't really explain it. A number of things happened this year. You were witness to one of them, the incident, for lack of a better word, that I had at Laughlin, at Star Works, when I came downstairs at the crack of dawn.
Those are the best conversations, though, when it just happens, and I happened to already be down there, and I think that I can't remember if that was the time that I just happened to turn around just as you had come around the corner, and you're like, "Why did you just turn around?" I said, "Well,
you felt me."
maybe you were coming up behind me, and sure enough. But I think then we talked for probably 45 minutes, almost an hour, about what had occurred. That was so cool.
Yeah, I still don't know what to make of it. And I will, be honest with you, it on some level it disturbs me because I'm so unclear what it was. The only thing that I can say is that I don't think, and I can't say, for sure, but I've never had anything like that happen to me in my life. And it just didn't feel like a dream, Tony. It didn't. I dream all the time. I dream constantly. My brain's going all the time. This was different. I mean, to have, a physiological reaction to an experience like that. And I don't know what to make of it. And it disturbs me, for anybody that's listening and doesn't know, I'll give you the very short version of it. But I was at some other time in Harrisville, Rhode Island, and driving along the main road out of Pasco toward Harrisville, two of the villages in the town of Burrillville. And my car broke down, and I was running to get to the bridge because there were lights in the sky, lights everywhere. And something came running up alongside me and started nipping or pulling at my jeans. And I turned and I said, oh no, honey, don't bite me. And reached down to pick up what I thought was a dog. And it was a being from another planet. Certainly not from here. And then I ran and ran and ran all the way to the farm. There are whole segments of Round Top Road that I do not have any recollection of, almost like I was flying or just transported. Ran to the farm. The farm was how it was in the 70s. And put my hand out as all of the unarmed officers came and converged on me with this being who was terrified in my arms. No bigger than not even a toddler, quite small, actually, probably no more than about 20 pounds. I just put my hand out and I stopped everyone from being able to penetrate this bubble of energy that formed around us. It wasn't even a bubble. It wasn't even like I don't know how to explain it. You couldn't really see it, but you could. It was, hi, Daryl. Oh, my darling Daryl is home from the hospital. Oh my God, has he been through it? He has been through it. Honey, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're home. And they all stopped, and I woke up suddenly knowing that I was going to rescue this little creature and give him back.
Right.
And I knew it was a he for some reason. And it was absolutely bizarre. And I came downstairs and I cried. I was shaking. I was completely overwhelmed by this experience. And oh, thank God you were there to kind of pick up the pieces of me. At that time, it was so strange. It was so bizarre. And I would really prefer if nothing like that ever happens again.
Yeah. But, like you said, you say you're not sure what it was. It wasn't a dream. It was, maybe it was a test. Maybe they, sent that particular energy to put those thoughts into your head, create that experience to see what you would do. Could it be something that they're maybe concerned about in the future, or, who knows? But the best part when you were telling me the story was what you did, how you reacted, and how you protected him. So clearly, if there was any process where they were trying to determine what your behavior would be, what your outcome would be and what you would do, you passed with flying colors. I mean, no doubt about it. And they're going, yep, okay. If we have to go down there, if we have to, we're going there.
Oh, I felt such a strong protective instinct toward this little guy. He was so precious, and he had the most beautiful, beautiful eyes. Jet black. They looked like polished onyx. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. Almond shaped, but not pitched high, kind of closer to what we would consider to be human eyes. But he was absolutely terrified, and I was not letting go of him. And oh my God, my legs, they were, oh, they know. Yes, Lori, I think you might be right about that. I think she's maybe right about that. I don't know. I wish that I knew. Not knowing drives me crazy sometimes, because I feel like I could accomplish more if I knew more. Does that make sense?
It does, but I also think that if you maybe knew too much, it might hinder your ability to react to what happens in the now. Meaning, if you had an extensive, same thing with, humans searching for whether there's life after death. And, the other big question in the human mind is, what kind of alien species exist, and what do they want? What's their purpose, and what's their connection to us? But if you knew all of it, if you knew, that little scenario where you were protecting him, that was instinct almost. You reacted on your gut level of what was occurring. And if you had too much information, I just think it would completely change the path and the behavior that maybe supposed to be experienced on a here and now basis.
Oh, you're so rational and reasonable and thoughtful and smart. And you could very well be right about that. I sometimes wonder, a lot of people that are connected the way I am, and there are a lot, they suffer the same kind of quandaries that I do. And a number of people that I know that are connected are very anxious to know more. They get downloads regularly, all different frequencies. I'm not the only one that happens to.
Right.
And I know that I'm being given information that way, but I don't know how to decipher the information. But I know that it's going into my subconscious mind. And when I need it, I have instant recall. When I need that information. And I will sometimes say things that I absolutely did not think about before I said it. like zoom out. And don't remember saying it afterward.
Sure.
And so that's another something that goes on with me, that I almost observe, like it's almost like an out of body moment when it happens. Like I'm standing somewhere aside from myself, watching it happen to me. It's a really bizarre thing. And I've taken a hiatus. I haven't really announced that publicly. I just disappeared. I just fell off the grid. I'm like, sayonara, I'm out of here. And in the 1st of December, when I was done with my events for the year, and all packed up, all the books shipped, everything done. Kind of closed myself down in Florida and moved what I needed to Georgia. And I've been here since the beginning of December, the first week of December. And I don't know how long I'll be here because I'm here taking care of my mother,
Right.
who has been in failing health, but she's doing better. I'm
That's
happy
good to
to
hear.
report. She came out into this room by herself today, which is a remarkable thing. She's
Yes.
getting a little better every day. Every day.
So good to hear that. So
She
good
injured
to hear
her
that.
back terribly, and or she had a sprain between her rib and her spine that went into complete total spasm, and she was in misery for weeks. She's been bedridden, but she's getting up and moving around now, and I'm so glad. So that's why I came earlier than I normally would have to spend the holidays, and we had a very quiet Christmas, just the three of us. Oh, Erin, darling. Erin was my ride. Oh, she is a rock star. She is. My mother is badass. She is. Erin spent a couple of days with us,
Nice.
brought me up here, and then went to see her folks that live about an hour away from here. So that whole scenario works out so well for me. Oh, I'm so grateful. But anyway, it's been very somber and subdued. A quieting has occurred in my life, and it started at Vulture City, a kind of quieting of my mind. And I've had some incredible things happen to me this year, Tony. I mean, honest to God, some incredible things. Having John Tenney and Jessica Knappich show up at the farm on Halloween.
That was awesome, yes.
I can't even tell you what that meant to me. No words.
You had no idea either, right? That was a complete shock surprise.
It's not hard to keep me clueless. I'm really, even George will tell you, has used the word oblivious. That's a word I throw at my sister Nancy. I never expect it to come back on me. But yeah, I'm naive and I'm gullible and I'm oblivious and I'm in my own fucking world. And you know what? I don't care who doesn't like that. It doesn't matter to me. It's my world. And I'm awakening in it. Oh, God. Yeah, here I go. I'm swearing again. I can't help it. So, yeah, it's been a remarkable year. It truly has been. And, I want to open it up and talk with our viewers, answer any questions that they have, and we'll do that shortly. But, I said tonight when I asked you about the link, if you would title the show Turn the Page, because for me, my whole world is my paper calendar. That's, my computer and my paper calendar. I cannot live without either of those objects. I would be lost. And so, it's not just turning the page like from November to December. It's go open the next chapter, which is the next calendar.
Right.
In this book of life that we all live through, and each year we measure everything by, we measure by the lunar calendar, we measure by, the time that has been established and accepted worldwide, but it's all made up. It's a human, it's conjured, it's a human machination. Right. And the proof of that is that we have to finagle with it every 4 years to keep it working right.
Right.
And that's fine. I mean, that works for this planet. It's based on the solar system. It makes perfect sense. But it's an illusion.
And so, is an illusion, yes.
Turning the page as we each read through the story of our lives, as we simultaneously create it by writing it, as we go down the path. Gives us an opportunity to not only record it, chronicle the events, but then to revisit the events, to be able to reflect on the events, which is why I think I'm a writer, because I write something about almost every major thing that happens to me. I write it down because somebody else might read it and go, oh my God, that same thing happened to me, or something so similar to that happened to me, and
Sure.
I thought I was nuts.
Wow.
It's liberating to tell our stories, and that's what we do every week on this show, and reach out to people that we love, even if they're on the other side of the world. And we do have followers in New Zealand and Australia and lots of other places. Who knew Iceland had a paranormal community?
Exactly. Matter of fact, I just saw somebody post. I should have right here. Bangkok, Thailand.
Thailand. Oh, welcome, dear. Happy New Year. Oh, thank you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that reach
wonderful.
goes worldwide. No doubt about it. And you know what? That's one of the most positive things about this show, is that the message is, it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what your background is, or anything in between. The lessons are just for people as a whole, and what's done right, what's done wrong, what needs to change. And that's the world awakening. I mean, it bottom line.
I'll tell you, one of the most mesmerizing therapeutic things that I ever do is to burn leaves. I only do it here. You're not allowed to burn anything in Florida. Just not. But I am out in the backwoods of West Georgia, and the cows don't gossip. And so I get a burn permit and I go to town. When I am here on nice days, I work in the yard, and it helps me get grounded.
Absolutely.
Literally and figuratively grounded. Like, I can feel every single acorn I'm stepping on. I can feel every hair on my body as the wind sweeps across it. And I follow. I lose myself. I think about nothing and everything simultaneously. Like, I clear my mind and I watch the smoke rise. And I think that that's something ancient in me from my Cherokee heritage on my mother's side, about smoke signals and a way to communicate with the gods, a way to communicate with source energy, a way to smoke has a lot of meaning in my life for a variety of reasons, and has always been very much omnipresent, building fire. Picking up stones. Everywhere I go, I have stones from literally every place I have ever been on Earth. And I'm going to need to go get a bigger house with larger gardens, and say, this is the house. There will be no other. And then I can put all my stones outside.
There you go.
Because they're taking over my house. And my father is like, do you have enough rocks? And no. The answer to that would be no, I do not. Am I done going places? No.
Right. There's a real connection to that grounding effect you were talking about from nature. I mean, it's been talked about over and over and over, from hikers to campers to, people just being outside. When you work in an office environment, or, you're stuck indoors, there is something really liberating about getting out into nature, smelling that fresh air, and you're talking about burning leaves. I mean, there isn't a better smell in the world than leaves burning. I mean, it is wonderful.
Yeah.
But then you tie that into, and people talk about, walking through the grass, I'm assuming probably in summer, but, and feeling that the grass on their feet and how that grounds. But then if you take it a step further and look at in the paranormal, like elementals and how that could interact and help ground, not only from just experiencing nature, feeling the grass, smelling the leaves burn, but connecting to the elemental spirits. I mean, you can just keep going on and on with that list, but it all makes sense when you put those pieces together and say, okay, nature, the nature of the planet, the mother nature of the world has a grounding effect on us as spirit or consciousness. It just plain does.
Yeah, it does. And similar to the metaphor that I frequently use about the night of the new moon, when you cannot see that orb in the sky, you don't doubt that it's there. It's there. You just can't see it.
Right.
And that's, for me, that's spirit. Sometimes we can see it and sometimes we cannot.
True.
Peanut had I don't know where she went. Oh gosh, she's on the sofa. Out like a light, gone. Had an experience in the house the other night. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can discern and basically distinguish between what might be an extraterrestrial energy and what might be spirit energy. And sometimes it's difficult because my sister April has been visiting. She always visits quite a bit right around Christmas or right around the holidays. And Erin even had an encounter with her recently. I think even it might have been today, but she's around. But Peanut does not have anything but wide-eyed wonder when she sees what she sees. Like, she doesn't have any kind of fear or trepidation. She does not put her tail between her legs. She does not withdraw. Her ears don't go down. 3 hours ago. Okay, well, see, it was today. She's around. She's around big time, huge today. And she knows Erin because she knows she's been here many times. And my mother loves her and asks, when's she coming back, like every day. Slightly redundantly, I'm like, Mom, I keep telling you, bless your heart, honey. Anyway, it was interesting to see my little dog stand up on her hind legs, and she's a little heavy in the rear end. So she's like a rump roast. I mean, she can actually balance herself sitting up, but she was doing it on a sofa, which, wow. Has like a,
right.
She was doing it on a sofa, and staring into the front room, what would have been the formal dining room if we ever used it for that. Mostly it's a storage unit, but her antique shop and library explosion. But sometimes when she sees extraterrestrial energy, it seems to frighten her.
Really?
Yes. And I can't explain how I know the difference in those situations. And I don't think I'm making the judgment call based on my dog's reaction. I think that I'm sensing the energy and then I'm noticing the dog's reaction to that energy.
Well, that was my next question, though.
Yeah,
what do you feel different between the two, or what gives you that impression as that it's one versus the other. I mean, is there anything that stands out that clear, or is it more of a intense moment of, okay, what do I have here?
When I feel extraterrestrial energy, I feel I'm sorry for the background noise. We've got a storm coming through, and
No worries.
It's fluttering the fan over the stove. I forgot to lock it down.
No worries.
But yeah, we've got a thunderstorm coming through. It's quite beautiful, but windy, very windy. And I don't know. She seems to know April, and I know she never met her. I know for a fact she never met her, but she seems to know her, and to know that she is connected with us, and that she is connected with Sammy, her dog that my mother and sister inherited after she passed away. And animals do know things. They do. I encourage almost every show. I encourage people, if you are in a position to do it, please go to a shelter and save a life. And you'll be absolutely shocked how that creature will save you right back, will rescue you the way you rescued it.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
You know, when I was young, my favorite dog was always a golden retriever, and I did get one when I was little, but there were certain dogs I just didn't care for the appearance or the, you know, the curly, tight, poodleish hair. But my wife's been collecting dogs over the last 2 years. We got 3 of them now.
Excellent.
And I got to tell you though, regardless of what color hair they have, or, you know, how tall they are, or big or short or small, their individual personalities just come out, and it just, regardless of whatever type, it melts your heart. It really does. And you know, there's not a single one of them that run around this house that now I'm just like, okay, yeah, they're great.
They're totally great. Yeah, they are. They're totally great. You know, the thing that I appreciate most about Peanut Buttercup, the princess, is that she wakes up every day, like, wow, it's a new day. I mean, she's like Elf, you know. She's like, what's his name? The big, oh my God. See, COVID brain, I'm telling you. Will Ferrell. She's that excited. You should have seen the look on her face when she saw the buck. Oh, Tony, it was great. It was great. See, they respond on demand. They do.
I think Cherie might have stepped outside because the little one. Here we go.
There we go. So Cherie stepped outside. So, you know, I know, honey, it's doggies on the computer. Oh gosh, here she comes. It's doggies on the computer. Yes. There's my baby. Come on.
All right. Well, I do see some questions coming in.
Good. You can let the dogs bark, Tony. Nobody cares.
Well, they're loud. All right. So someone asked a question. Okay. Here it is.
Can you tell us about the messages from Lorraine you received a few months ago? You told us you'd tell us, and I have been waiting, so excited. I owe you that. Yes, darling, and I love your name. I know you weren't born with that name, but I love your name. It is a Queen's World, actually. And And it is part of what I wanted to talk about tonight, too, Tony, because yes, I want A World Awakening to be very uplifting, but I think it's also incumbent upon us to talk about all the many areas where there's drastic room for improvement in this world. And not long, I think maybe a couple of weeks after Lorraine passed, Lorraine Warren, I had an incident that happened at our house. My father and I, and he has one side of the house and I have the other. And I had already gone off to bed, and he yelled down the hallway, good night to me, and went off to his room. And the house was shut down, completely shut down. The TV was shut down. The lights were off. And I was sitting in bed watching the news on my TV. And all of a sudden, the house exploded with noise. And it was the kind of noise that rattled your bones, that caused your sternum to shake. The loudest thing I think I've ever heard, and I've been to some rock concerts, this was the loudest thing I've ever heard.
Wow.
It was as though the noise was coming through the pores of the paint on the walls, blasting through, like each little indentation was a mini microphone. It was coming from everywhere. We had just had some new carpeting laid, and all the surround sound for the in-home theater, because my father is nuts about movies, had been disconnected so that the carpet could be put in. And so the only actual speaker that was working was on the television itself. My father came running. I was stunned. I didn't get up at first. I couldn't believe how loud it was. I couldn't believe what was happening. I didn't know what to make of it. And he came running down the hallway and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" And ran into the front foyer and then down a step down into the parlor, turned the light on, and was standing there trying to turn the TV off. The noise was coming from the television, which is like 52 inches wide or something ridiculous. It's huge. But also everywhere else, not just the television, but not the, but even though the speakers were not connected, it was coming from all of the speakers, all of them. There's 5 of them, you know, little speakers like that big that go in corners and stuff, you know, surround sound. And he's fighting with the remote, trying to turn off the TV. And I'm standing there absolutely dumbstruck, listening to what I heard come through. And what I heard, I could only describe as hell. And I don't believe in hell. I don't think there's a place called hell. Like it's like a place.
Right.
I just don't think that's real.
Right.
I think it's a really great way to juxtapose good and evil and darkness and light and heaven and hell, and, you know, and keep it simple because humans are dummies. You know, it seems to be how most religions have been founded. And I heard people screaming and begging for what had to be some kind of a release, crying, sobbing, screaming. Thousands and thousands of voices, all overlapping. And I had to cover my ears at one point because it was so loud. But then I heard a man's voice come through and say, she held it at bay for 60 years. I was 60 years old when this happened. I was born when she and Ed began their career as paranormal investigators the same year. And he said it had a kind of a British accent, actually, and kept saying that she did what she could. She had to let go. It was like a passing of the torch. And I kept hearing him talking about, saying over and over. Meanwhile, there's a woman's voice behind his voice. And all she's saying is, "Oh my God. Oh my God." In the most pitiful, mournful, sorrowful tone of voice I think I've ever heard.
Wow.
And he's saying she held it at bay. She held it for 60 years.
Wow.
And that evil is loose. Evil is loose.
Wow. There's so many parts of that just spin my mind. Like, first of all, TV wasn't on, yet sound was coming through the speakers. And I don't know if you said it tonight, but I think you told me the speakers weren't even hooked up.
No, they were not connected to the main unit at all.
Correct.
And the remote would not work. There's only one remote, but there was a small remote that I guess had belonged to something Dad had a long time ago. And he just, got rid of the machine, but kept the remote, I don't know, to keep the others company on the table. Who knows?
Sure.
But I went over and I picked it up. And just as I went to touch the red button, I didn't actually touch it. All the sound disappeared. And my ears were buzzing and ringing. I could hear the sound still reverberating. And I got really upset about it and used some really bad language because I didn't know what to make of it. And I wouldn't say I was frightened, but I was certainly very distressed.
Sure.
And my father thought that I was accusing him of, he didn't hear what I heard. He heard extremely loud white noise. Nothing my father heard were discernible words. The words were for me. And I don't want to carry that torch. And I don't want to have the responsibility of holding something evil at bay.
Right.
I got my hands full with Putin, that flaming asshole.
Exactly.
I can't. And maybe he is a part of the evil that is afoot in the world. I think that's highly plausible. Pure, unadulterated evil, another Hitler. He just doesn't have the body count amassed yet. But, given free reign, could. But Hitler didn't have nuclear weapons.
Exactly.
And this megalomaniac does.
Exactly.
So, there is evil afoot in the land. And not just this land.
No doubt about it. And not even just Putin, but Kim Jong-un. He's firing off test missiles one a day. It has been for the last, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
But
and the whole world figures if they just ignore it, that it'll go away. It's not going to go away. He's perfectly capable of striking anywhere in the United States now, and nothing has been done about this. I spend a great deal of time contemplating the fate of the world and the fate of humanity. And I wanted to name the show tonight, Turn the Page, because that's what we need to do now. If we're going to mark this change of year, with it needs to come a change of mind. For instance, let me just say this about that. The Russian Federation, the USSR, was a founding member of the United Nations. All the founding members, including the United States, have an automatic veto, retain permanent veto power. So if the world decides to chastise Russia for what it's doing in Ukraine and put sanctions or censure or whatever useless thing they come up with, Russia can just say, well, we veto that. And because they're a founding member, they have no recourse. The rest of the countries have no recourse. And I say, if you want to make a point, rewrite, put a clause into the doctrine upon which the United Nations was founded, saying something to the effect that, if one of the founding countries goes rogue under a leader who is behaving counterproductively to the charter of the UN, then they can be expelled. Right. They can do it in one sentence and then tell them to get out.
Right.
Clean out your offices and get out. The United Nations ambassador from Russia, pack it in, take your staff, there's a plane, goodbye.
Yeah.
It's the only way that, otherwise, I say the United Nations serves no purpose. Because if the vast majority of the countries in the rest of the world condemn this action, this war, right, and hold this so-called leader, so-called president, who's really a dictator, in complete contempt, then they must act. They must do something. Right. We're doing, as a country, I feel like, we're doing right by the Ukrainians. We're doing well by them. I was very impressed with Zelensky's speech in front of Congress the other night, kind of embarrassed about how he was received by certain members of the Senate and House of Representatives. But all told, I think he had a very positive experience in the country, and he came and said his piece. But we need to make this paradigm shift complete. It needs to stick. We need to be the difference that we want to see in the world, and focus all of our energy and our attention on what we want this world to look like. And I know I'm sure there are people that are watching this going, oh, she's talking about that again ad nauseum. Thoughts are things. Yes, they are. Thoughts are things.
Yeah,
thoughts are energy being projected out into the world.
Right.
And when we connect on this integral level of communication, not only are we speaking to each other or singing to each other or shouting at each other, we're also thinking to each other.
Absolutely.
Telepathy is, I can't tell you how many times a day I'll think about somebody and then the phone will ring and it's them and they heard me thinking about them, because I have good, strong friendships that are very bonded, very close. And so these connections, it's like synapses snapping. You think of this and somebody 1,000 miles away picks up the phone.
Right.
And that's happened to me my whole life. And I know it happens to multitudes of other people. Thoughts are things. And if we can change our mind as a race about what this next chapter should look like, yes, they are, Candace. They are intentions, and they are, yes, very powerful. Because we've got to do something, because otherwise next year is going to be the same as this year and nothing will have changed, and no progress will have been made, and we'll have another. We've had more than 600 mass shootings in this country this year. 600. That's 4 or more injured or dead, not including the shooter.
Right.
So the 4 college students that were killed in Idaho, they don't even count in that body of statistics because they were murdered with knives and slashed to death while they were sleeping in their beds. That doesn't even count as a mass murder.
Right.
We've had over 600, and we still have another day left in this year before we can close the book on, or close this chapter on 2022, and then go back and reflect, look back and go, wow, we've got a real problem here, don't we? But if 2023 comes and nothing of any substance gets done about it, and I don't know what the answers are, I think it's too late. I think when you have a country full of 330 million people and you have over 365 million guns, it's too late. Guns are so readily available to anyone that maybe we need to start looking at what's making people crazy. Because these years of COVID, and when people talk about COVID in the past tense, I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Right.
They just announced a new variant today that's so highly communicable that they're begging people to start masking up again because it transits through the nasal passage almost directly into the lungs.
Right.
You know, it's got some crazy, I don't know, letters, numbers, dots.
I'm pretty sure that was the one they said also was not detectable by current tests.
Oh, great. I didn't hear that part. Oh, isn't that delightful?
I'm pretty sure it was that one. Because, their main concern is that they'd have to redo the testing because it was not completely identifiable, whereas the old test could pick up the other variants. But this one, you could take the tests and it come back saying you don't have anything when in fact you do, which then exemplifies the fact of how contagious it is to begin with. But COVID's not done, not by any means.
No, and it won't be. This is not going to be like the last pandemic where whatever that virus was eventually just burned itself out, ran out of people to infect. That's not going to be the case with this. University of Washington just today, I believe, said that they know of more than 100 million COVID infections in the United States. Their estimate or their guesstimate is it's closer to 200 million.
Wow.
Okay. So 2/3 of us have had this virus already. And I read an article yesterday, and these are preliminary results. This is being peer reviewed, and a lot of scientists are working on it, but they've been autopsying people with COVID who die of COVID. And in the dead body, they're finding live virus in the brains. And I knew it because I've had it 4 times. And it's almost like every time I have it, I lose a few more words that should be right there for me that are not anymore. That pre-COVID, there was never an issue with. I am a writer. I'm like a walking, living, breathing thesaurus of words that are constantly right there. They're right there. And I am losing that proclivity. And it's frightening because I don't know if I will necessarily get it back. Now, it's not that big of a deal when I'm writing. I can pause. I can think about, I can call it forth. Might take a minute or so, but the right and proper word that I want will come. But when I'm speaking I'm lecturing or I'm doing the show or, whatever, and I hit that wall, it's really something. It knocks me back because I'm not used to failing to find the right word at the right moment to express the right thought or feeling. It's automatic. It's always been a given, and it's not anymore. And this is definitely a marked difference from when I first had COVID at the end of 2019.
Wow.
Before they could even detect it with the test. But I knew later because I had the antibodies months later when they did the test. They introduced the first test.
Right.
And because I lost all sense of taste and smell, and they didn't know what I had. The doctor could not identify what it was, but knew how to treat it nonetheless, thank God, with a holistic treatment, actually, that saved me. Well, half and half holistic, half. It's like blood washing. It's they infused my whole system. I had a systemic blood infection. I had no oxygen in my blood. They gave me liquid oxygen, liquid
wow.
Antibiotics, liquid compazine, like this big, huge bag of fluid that they put back into my body slowly over the course of a couple of hours after they drained half my blood out and injected it into the bag. It was, that was the closest I've ever come to dying.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Diane McMillan, so does COVID cause dementia-like symptoms? Yes. Well, Diana, I can't say for anybody else. I do know that there's this thing called long COVID, and it has a lot of different symptoms. It affects people in different ways. And basically, what's happening now is the scientific community is beginning to seriously study people who claim that they've never been the same since they had it, that something has gone awry, something has been skewed by this virus in our systems. And I don't think that it's the vaccines, it's the virus itself. It's one of only 3 known viruses that live on in a dead host.
Wow.
Tuberculosis is one of them. I can't remember the other one. I was talking to a nurse about this just recently. And, that's why we lost so many coroners and medical examiners and, people that were working with the victims of COVID early on in the pandemic before they really knew what they were dealing with. None of us can afford to not pay attention to this. I have decided that it's not worth it. I've been going back out since 2021, tentatively in 2021, more so in this year. But it's not worth the risk. And I've cut my my travel schedule, my speaking schedule way back for this coming year. I'm only right now, I think I'm booked for 5 events for the whole year. And that would be fine with me if that's all that it turns out to be. Right. And I can stay home and write and work and take care of my mom and take care of my dad and take, say as you wish to the Princess Peanut Butter Cup as frequently as she requires that. I am her lady in waiting to wait on her hand and foot. And it's okay. I think it's okay to step out and take a hiatus. How did you feel, not to change the subject too abruptly, but how did you feel? I think I know the answer to this. When you had to step away from a world awakening for 6 months, what kind of emotional reaction did you have to that?
Well, it was multidimensional because, I know you and George had done an audio version of it prior, and then you and I put together the live video version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a creation between the two of us of getting it back, initiating its presence.
Yeah.
And so I felt extremely tied to it for that matter alone. But it went deeper than that. The guests over the year or year and a half or whatever it was before I got a new job because COVID killed my other one, and then my hours changed and times changed, but it was a heavy withdrawal feeling, like I was missing out on not only being a part of what we created, but to have every Friday night be just sort of uplifting environment where we talk about so many things with so many different people, and then that Friday night after end of a long week, having that experience of being, kind of have a spotlight put on your life saying, "Oh, look who's behind you."
This is my mother, everyone.
Yes.
See, Mom, you're right there in the. This is my darling mother.
I get up to have a cigarette.
You can't have a cigarette, Mom.
Oh,
Ugh.
you can.
No, I'll come get you when the show is over, okay? Okay.
It's great to see her, though.
She's
Great.
up and about. She's out of bed and walking around, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
That is fantastic.
I had the same thing, Tony. It was like this malaise, and nothing against it. I mean, Bill stepped right up and did such.
I think you lost sound. I think you froze. Well, we'll give her a minute. She'll come back, I'm sure. We'll just wait a second. Her audio dropped out first. And then she apparently has frozen. But, it was so great to see Carolyn. Just, she looked good. She looked healthy. There she comes.
There we go. Yeah, I had the same malaise. I had this, it felt like something, Bill did a wonderful job, stepped right in, just ran with it. But it felt so awkward and strange losing you from the equation.
I'm so sorry.
It wasn't your fault. And remember, you were so worried that I was going to be so upset. And I said, honey, you have to do whatever you have to do, and you'll be back. I know you will be back. Mom, my mother doesn't understand that I'm doing a live show right now and that she's on camera.
No, love to everyone.
Oh, okay. So she said hello to everyone. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Smoke up.
Okay, all right. That's fine, honey. God.
You were just saying that, it wasn't my fault. Like I said, I had gotten.
No, it wasn't.
Hours had changed. And I kept saying to Cherie, I'm like, we're now, because we don't switch time zones in Arizona. We switch, well, we don't go an hour forward or back. We actually switch time zones. So we'll jump from Pacific time for 6 months out of the year, then to Mountain time. And so on Mountain time, it's not a problem. I'm usually home by 6, and the show would start at 7 Mountain time, so no problem. But then when I jump to Pacific time, it's like, wait a minute, show starts at 6. I don't get out of work. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I kept saying to Cherie, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And she's like, you got to just tell her, you got a new job. And so I did, and you were wonderful about it. And Bill did step right in, which was great. But still, it was just this, it felt like a loss, like I was missing something that was just so important on so many levels. Like I said, including that sort of Friday burst that everyone, you were talking about, if people message me or say, hey, I'm looking forward to the show. Well, that's one of the comments they always make is, it's been a long week. I need this. I need that uplift, and get some put into a better place, a better mindset to take on the next week. So,
yeah. Well, if we're going to turn the page on 2022 to 2023, and for some reason, and I will say right now as I'm thinking of it, for some reason, 2024 is supposed to be an extraordinarily pivotal year. It's something that I have known for decades and decades. I don't know if it's the year of my death. I don't know if it's the year that my movies get made. I don't know if it's the year that the Galactic family all comes down. I don't know. All I know is that something extraordinarily important is going to happen in 2024. So I just have to get through the next 12 months on cruise control, do the best that I can with what gets thrown at me, and go forward with the show. And I've had a couple of other opportunities come my way recently. And, Bill was afraid that a world awakening would not factor into that equation. And I assured him that, I don't care if we did this show for 20 people a week. Those are 20 lives, 20 souls that mean the world to both of us.
Yeah.
And who take the messages that they receive here and bring them out into the world. And, manifest their own destiny every day. People who are like-minded, forward-thinking, just expansive mindset,
right?
About the world, the big picture world, and understand the intricacies, the complexities, the interconnectedness, the oneness of everything. And that's our audience. That's who's watching this. That's who's paying attention to these messages. And these individuals are very powerful people in their own right. So if we say a few words on a Friday night that inspire them to go out and be the light they seek, be the change they wish to see in the world, because of a conversation that we had for a couple of hours on a Friday night, that's pretty intense. That's huge. Pretty powerful stuff.
Huge.
Candace Isaacson, I was just thinking about you. Just thinking. Question. How do you, Tony, and Andrea stay positive in a negative world? Oh, I don't stay positive. Oh, my God, I'm a bitch on wheels most of the time. Anybody that knows me knows that, right, Tony? No, you know it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that, that maybe you have some control over, and then ones you absolutely know you don't. And you have to take what you maybe can change and do what you feel is best to make it better. The things you can't change, and our world is full of them. Half the conversations we were having 30 minutes ago about certain rulers, leaders, people within other countries, there's all sorts of, really nasty things that are happening to other people, which could affect not only other countries, but the entire planet.
World. Destabilizing the entire world. The global market, the global community of souls. It's a disturbance in the force.
Right.
It is like taking a bayonet and slashing through the unified field of consciousness.
Exactly.
And people can't wrap their heads around this, and people are losing their minds.
Right. Well, and we've had the last 3 years full of stuff that just keeps
Yeah.
tipping the tip of that iceberg a little further over. I mean,
Yeah.
we had the last 3 years of COVID, which isn't done. We've had threats for war. We've got, Russia against the Ukraine. We've got China against Taiwan. We've got North Korea doing all sorts of things.
Nuclear power plants in crisis.
Correct.
Not only Zaporizhia, but also, everybody forgets that Fukushima Daiichi
Right.
is in crisis,
Right.
and
Right.
they don't have any place to put the toxic chemicals and the cesium and they want to just dump millions of tons of nuclear wastewater into the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
That's the plan. That's the
Yeah.
plan.
Which just utterly stupid. But back to her question, how do you deal with that stuff? Well, it's hard. And, do you get emotional? Do you let that emotion out at times? Do you get frustrated? Absolutely. But those are one of those things that, one person as an individual probably can't change. But, I think the biggest change that has to happen, although, some of this stuff's really scary because you got people that have enough power to literally cause devastation to the entire planet just because they're having a bad day or they're going to get thrust out of power
or they're insane.
Correct. So that's terribly frightening. But you can do one of two things. You can live in that fear, or you can try to stay positive, hope that'll cause other people to stay positive. And then that whole vibration that we were talking about before, about why people are so upset, so unhappy, so frustrated, it's because of all these things on top of, 10,000 more that each individual person is dealing with. But as each individual person can be a little happier, can be a little more understanding, a little more loving, that raises the vibration of the planet around us, which then is felt by others the same way that negativity is felt. And, hopefully, we'll make adjustments based off of what we've seen in past years, based off of the mistakes made through history, although we've been saying that for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And
I'm not holding out much hope for us learning our lessons.
No. But being negative constantly only creates the
reinforces it
of what we're hoping to achieve.
Right.
So you got to try to stay negative. Even when you're not, you got to fake it till you can make it. And that's my best.
You said you got to try to stay negative. I don't have to try to stay negative. You meant to say you got to try to stay positive.
Did I say negative?
Yes. And you know what? And this is what I have to say about that. No, I don't. When I'm pissed off, I'm going to burn it like jet fuel, and I'm going to get all mouthy and loud and rude and vulgar and say what I think, because as far as I am concerned, silence is tacit approval.
Yeah,
it is.
It absolutely can be. I mean, there's no doubt that
Lori.
How many times have, mistakes been made or people regret not stepping up, not voicing their opinion. And, that can be, silence can be just as dangerous as saying the wrong thing, but yeah,
it can. But I also come from Rhode Island, the little tiny state that could. And the only thing on the flag of Rhode Island is an anchor and the word hope. And I absolutely refuse to give up on hoping for a more enlightened humanity. I really do believe that we are in the midst of a spiritual ascension, that so much of the grief, the anger, the toil, the disturbance in the force has to happen. It has to happen this way, or it would happen another way. I'm just angry as hell that it has to happen this way.
Yeah.
Because when I see the loss of life, and in Ukraine particularly, the loss of innocent life, when I see how the girls, I was just in touch today with my friend that I met from Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
The young lady that managed to escape, the last one out on the last cargo plane. And she's going to come down and visit me. Sahalia is going to come down and visit me when I go back to Florida. And she's been lonely over this Christmas because, of course, her whole family is on the other side of the world. And she has family that's sisters trapped in Afghanistan that can't get out and are subject to Taliban rule. And so, you know, it's when I look at my problems and then I look at, you know, how would I feel if it was two of my sisters that were living in conditions like that?
That would be devastating.
You know, so I think that I refuse to give up hope. I refuse to give up empathy and compassion and purpose. I have a mission in life. I didn't even identify it as such until I was in my 50s. I just mostly floated around, did this and that and the other thing for years and years, was in the theater, owned businesses. I had a restaurant, I had a jewelry store. I had I was like, wow, I'm really meant for something else. This is just, something. And then I worked at Harmony Hill for the better part of a decade and worked with developmentally disabled adults before I went there, and then worked with behaviorally disordered young adolescent males. I've had some hard jobs. I've learned a lot of things along the way. It wasn't until about 10, 12 years ago that I realized that every single thing that I had been through in my life prepared me for what I was about to embark upon, which was writing the books.
Right.
And that changed everything. And now I have a platform, Tony. And because of you and because of KGRA, digital broadcasting, and our dear friend Bill,
yes,
I have an outreach for these messages that I didn't have even 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
And I didn't know if anybody was really listening, but people are listening. And we are making a change. And even though that change is incalculable and immeasurable, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Like the moon, the night of the new moon. It exists. And we are making a difference. And so I have to just continue to be hopeful. But it doesn't mean I don't get really pissed off.
The president of Russia is depressed. Deeply depressed.
Yeah, well, you know what? I want him to be 6 feet deeply under is what I want. My mother says the president of Russia is deeply depressed. She's being sarcastic because he came out today, basically said, this isn't going well. Well, you know what? How about it was ill-conceived from the inception? How about that?
Exactly. I mean, there was no need. There was no reason to attack. That's the problem with human beings, is that we destroy everything, including each other, our planet, everything in between. Yeah. That's the problem.
And she will live on when we are gone. And she will make sure that we get gone if we don't change our ways, change our mind, change our focus, change our path. And what is necessary for that to happen is a spiritual evolution and revolution.
Yeah.
And our superpower is love. And when we devote the better part of our time to loving each other powerfully, caring for each other powerfully, uplifting each other powerfully, just generating the vibration around us as manifested in random acts of kindness, just picking up a phone and calling somebody who you know would love to hear from you, making the time, taking the time to devote to not only your loved ones, but even your satellite circle, people outside your inner circle where all the tents are pitched and the wagons are circled, that circle, that,
Right.
but even those outside of that, and to let them know that they matter to you. And that's one of the things that I love best about the holidays. About all the holidays, because really, whether it's Hanukkah or it's, Christmas or it's Kwanzaa or it's, Festivus for the rest of us, whatever it is, whatever we celebrate, this is the time of year where humanity celebrates as one.
Yeah.
And if we could just keep this feeling in our hearts year round and, be as forthcoming and affectionate and just open and receptive to our fellow human being as we are around Christmas, just more mindful, more thoughtful,
Exactly.
Could I hold the door for this guy? He looks like he could use a little help.
Right.
What skin is it off my nose? 2 seconds. And yet,
Right.
As he walks by, you smile. And that connection, that human connection is profound. You're never going to see him again for the rest of your life. And in a way, it makes it more profound. It makes it more special because you had that connection for that singular moment in time.
That's a great point. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I see a couple more questions.
Okay, ask away. Ask away. Justin, Rocky Land. Any news on the screenplays? Yeah, we're still working on them, Justin. it's when I say it's a huge project, that is the understatement of the new millennium. We are hoping, if all goes as planned, if all goes as storyboarded, if all goes as financed, and if all goes well, we're hoping to begin filming in 2024. That's the plan. So 2023 is going to be about crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's and, putting a plan of action together. All the people are pretty much in place, although I only have maybe a third of the cast right now, but that's the last thing that you do. I mean, it really is. It's one of the last things that you do is cast it, because you don't know who's going to be available based on their own work schedule. So, I will have faith that everything will come together, that the right and proper people will play the right and proper parts. And I already have, I think, maybe 4 or 5 people cast. But like a verbal, yes, I want to do it. Yes, I will do it. Let me know when you're ready. So, but thank you, Justin. I'll keep you posted, honey. I mean, I'm into year 4 of this. And Tony will tell you, as a producer himself, it's not unusual for a movie project to take, 7 to 10 years. The Conjuring was contracted in 2007 and it came out in 2013. And that was considered a rush job by Hollywood.
That's what I was going to say. That's actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
From actual start to finish, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, and there, are hundreds and hundreds of people that are involved.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, sometimes more. So it's a really big deal. And it's probably a good thing that I'm going to spend a lot more time off the road than on this year, because this handy dandy little computer of mine is where I do so much of the work. Plus, I've made 5 films since the dawn of COVID. I've made 3 documentaries and 2 features since COVID started. So there's a lot of stuff out there. There's stuff circulating all over Europe and Canada and Australia, and it depends on which continent, which team puts it together and who they sell their stuff through. But I have 2 feature films coming out. Probably, I would say definitely in 2023. So that'll be really cool. I'm glad. I probably looked like a hag. Oh my God, I feel like such a hag. I do. My hair's a mess. Look at me. Look at me. I'm a mess, and everything's backwards on the computer.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I know the stuff you're talking about. I will be excited to have that get released as well and see get to view it. You got some exciting stuff coming up, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it'll be okay. I just I really appreciate you being part of my last project.
Absolutely.
I really do.
I love being involved in anything that you have your fingers in, and it's always a pleasure to do it, and it's always an honor to be involved, to work with you, to accomplish and achieve what you're looking to do. And I don't think, as long as I've known you, I don't think I've ever said no. And I'm always like, I'll be there, because it's a great experience, and it's it's just fantastic to get that opportunity to be involved and to share, like you said, the similar thoughts and outlooks and expand on those, and it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Well, as we turn the page on 2022 and we look forward, hopefully, to making some progress in this new year, worldwide. Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, Brady. Oh, I love him. Oh, Heidi, you're so sweet. Now, I didn't say that so I'd get all these. Oh, my God. Make them stop. Stop. I'll get all dressed up for you next week. I swear to God I will. I'll get earrings out and stuff. I'll brush my hair. Try not to set it on fire in the coming days. I want this next year. I want us to really contemplate this, I want us to really, as a group, just as our viewers, our people that are engaged with us here tonight. Oh God, I love Brady. Oh my God, I wish you could meet him. He's the cutest, most wonderful human being. This is my lovely young man. He is. His whole family. I love his whole family. They're great. I want us to really put some thought into it this year. No, I'd never make New Year's resolutions, because why? Why would anyone set themselves up for disaster? Why would anybody? Why? Just throw yourself into the jaw of disappointment. You're not going to live up to it. It's a great thought for a second or two. You're not going to break out the Peloton. It's not going to happen. But
the average New Year's resolution lasts less than 14 days.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, a lot less.
A lot less. I know it. It's because we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And those habits brew over time and, are cultivated over time and become ingrained in us. And, you have to make a real concerted effort at certain things in life, but whereas thought is all from here up. And That's how we can really change the world.
Yeah.
And we must change the world.
It has to happen. If we don't,
We're doomed.
we won't be here anymore.
No.
For one reason or another, the Earth will survive, but it can survive without us. In fact, it'll do a lot better.
It'll thrive without
It'll
us. We're the
thrive without
pestilence on the planet. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, my sister, Christine, she sometimes thinks that I'm a little extreme. And she's even getting to the point now where she's starting to agree with me. And, you know, a case in point. We were watching TV the other day, and this is, of course, the time of year when all the charities are, you know, with one commercial after another, begging for money to keep going, whereas they're spending millions and millions of dollars begging for millions and millions of dollars. It just seems like a self-perpetuating, self-devouring thing. And, you know, as soon as we leap for the remote, it's like, who can get to it first? When we see the snow leopard with a bear trap on its leg, when we see the German shepherd that's chained and freezing to death, when we see an elephant being shot in the head. You know, I mean, why are you people putting this on television for the knee-jerk reaction, for that sickening feeling that comes? But the fact of the matter is that an elephant, that rare, precious creature, of which we have a very limited amount left on planet Earth, an elephant is killed on this planet every 15 minutes.
Oh, my God.
And so the last time I walked into the room unexpectedly, and, you know, there's the Save the Elephants thing, I just screamed at the television, kill the poachers, and you won't have a problem with the elephants. Start killing the poachers. What makes their life more valuable than that elephant? What does?
Exactly.
You know, and she's like, you know, Anne, 5-6 years ago, probably even 10 years ago, I would have thought, wow, that's a little over the top, you know, kind of off the edge. And she said, now I agree with you. Now I agree with you. Yeah, yeah. Shoot the poachers. You know, and the word will get around really, really fast that, you know, when you go robbing the world of the most extraordinary creatures on it, for what? Money?
Right.
You know, that you can pay with your life for doing that. Word will get around really, really fast, and the poaching on planet Earth will stop because it's not worth their lives.
Right. But yet they have no problem taking the life of something else.
Right.
You know, that's the irony in it.
Yeah, it's the irony. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I am militant. I really am. I am an advocate for the planet. I am an advocate for animals. I am an advocate for children. I'm a gay rights activist. I am a women's rights activist. I am, you know, I have things that I believe that I get up every morning thinking about, you know, that are so important to me. Justice, accountability, honesty. Yep. You know, these are important concepts to me. These are things that, you know, maybe most people are, you know, I have the luxury of getting up in the morning and having a cup of coffee with my mother and, you know, having conversations like this every day. You know, it's, I'm not hunting for grubs to feed my family. There are people on this planet right now that are doing that now to try to find something to feed their family. The grain shipments aren't making it out of Ukraine. No. It's the bread basket of the world. We can't grow enough wheat in the United States or any place else to compensate for what they contribute to the world nutrition.
Right.
And that is, we're all under assault, all of us. And we can't afford to just turn the page of the calendar or open a new calendar and flip the page to January 2023 without really looking at what happened in 2022, including on February 24th, when cruise missiles started being lobbed into a peaceful, sovereign nation that didn't do anything to deserve it.
Right. Exactly.
Not anything. And so I'm going to be positive when I can be positive, and I am positive that Putin will be defeated and eventually deposed and hopefully held in The Hague for war crimes against humanity. Because, you know, he might have thought that putting the USSR back together again, I'm sorry, Humpty Dumpty, baby. That is not happening.
No.
And really all he'll do is go down in history as, you know, the next Hitler. He will.
Right.
And but his existence, his power, the unwillingness of those around him to intervene is affecting all of us, physically,
Absolutely.
psychologically, spiritually, financially, in every conceivable way, if you take a moment and think about it. So I ask everyone to reflect as we turn the page on 2022 and start a new chapter and write what we want this world to look like and manifest our own destiny. Remember what John Tenney said about, you know, he is the king of the realm of the weird. And, you know, he did the etymology of the word weird going back to, I believe, the 1400s and when it first appeared in print. And it was the word that was used to talk about those that lived outside the boundaries of the kingdom, the ones that grew their own herbs and, you know, tilled their own land and lived off that land and raised their own livestock and lived autonomously away from a system that did not work for them. And that word meant that they were the ones that were free to manifest their own destiny.
Exactly.
So let each and every one of us go into this new year with that attitude, with that motivation, with that intention, as Candace said, with that intention, with only the very best of intentions, because together we can make a change. You know, this was the year that women lost rights in this country, that rights were stripped away from 52% of the population of this country by 3 people who lied about their intentions once they got on the court and said that Roe v. Wade was, you know, invoked stare decisis. And each and every one of them spoke publicly and privately to the effect that this was settled precedent, this was settled law. And then immediately given the opportunity, I saw the whole setup. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And anybody paying any attention has seen this coming for years. You know, so the legacy lives on. And so we're at war all over again, fighting a fight that we won 50 years ago over bodily autonomy and the right to make our own decisions about our own health care as women who have reproductive organs. And here we are again. And how can this be?
Right.
How can this be?
We
I mean,
went
when I
backwards.
think about all the fights there are to fight, you know, being a spiritual warrior for peace is an exhausting job.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
But we have to think this through. Gemma Johnstone. Oh, you are so sweet. Put that back up. I didn't get to read the whole thing, honey. Oh, thank you, Gemma. Yes, I know. I don't want to be right about this. I'm right about this. Anthony, my first time watching. I like the show. You got a new viewer. Anthony, thank you and welcome, dear. Thank you. Isn't that nice? A new viewer. That's
Awesome.
wonderful.
Absolutely
That's
awesome.
great.
But you're right. I mean, the whole take a moment to reflect on what 2022 was, even 2021, 2020, where that progress is heading, or progress isn't even the right word, where the direction that things are heading, not progress. Progress was the wrong word. But 2022 is just sort of a snapshot of what's been happening the last 5-10 years. But changes need to be made, or things are going to become something none of us are going to want to have to get up each day and face. And
I know
that to me is a much
scarier scenario. At least it is for me.
Absolutely.
Well, my mother always said, fear the living, not the dead. And in recent years, I understand exactly what she meant.
That is so correct. And, if you literally thought about, if you remove the human race, the planet would absolutely function in harmony.
Would thrive.
We are the only thing that destroys everything.
We don't live in concert. We don't live in harmony
at all
with our living, breathing mother, who does everything to nurse and nurture us, gives of herself in every conceivable way.
Correct.
And all we do is take and take and take and destroy and deceive. And the common denominator is always power and money. And like my friend at Starworks, Regina Meredith said, she said, somebody had been talking to her about flipping the whole notion of the pyramid, about everything, all the power being at the top. And her friend said, well, what if we flip that pyramid over, and the handful that are calling all the shots and running the casinos and, just this crapshoot of life where, you might make it or you might not. You flip that magnificent pyramid on its head, and the weight of the masses would crush them.
Right.
And, frankly, given the opportunity, I would step on that little weasel of a man, Putin, in a heartbeat. I could snap him in half. I could. I'm a big woman. Come on, Tony. You know me. I am strong like bull. I am.
You are, but his whole intent, I don't know what he's trying to prove. I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do.
Hubris.
His health is in terrible disarray.
He can't die fast enough. Oh, is that unkind of me to say? He can't die fast enough.
Well, when you can hold the entire planet in fear, hostage, that's just wrong. That's just wrong.
Well,
on so many levels.
How many deaths on his hands? How many? On the hands of these so-called world leaders. Oh, Bill said we only have 5 minutes left, and I think that was a minute or so ago. Oh, I'm not paying attention close enough. Okay, all right, good. Okay. Oh my God, Tony.
That went by really quick.
I know. Did we have a lot of people in the chat tonight? Tell them I love them all.
Yeah, we did. We certainly did.
Good. I love you all, and I want you to each go into. And I know I speak for Tony as well, too, and I'll let him speak for himself because he can. But go into this new year as hopeful. Turn the page on the past and rewrite the future, because nothing is set in stone. The future is ours to manifest. It is our story to write. We simply have to take the responsibility to be part of the solution instead of the problem. There's no sitting on the fence here, folks. You know, there just isn't. You know, silence is tacit approval. Speak up, let your voice be heard, speak your truth, love powerfully, be the light you seek, and be the change you wish to see in the world. These, you know, my best, it's not resolutions. It just is. It's got to be this way, or we will languish in limbo in this paradigm shift and not learn our lessons well. And this is the test. And on the other side of the test, hopefully this time we learn our lesson.
Yeah.
Tony Rathman, a closing thought?
Well, you know, along the lines of what you were saying, I mean, for people for asking, you know, how do you live in a negative world? And, you know, there's no sense in dwelling on negativity or things that went wrong. But at the end of a year, it doesn't hurt to just ponder them and figure out what can be changed, what can make things better, not only for you, but maybe your neighbor or, you know, someone across town or whatever the case may be. But every time that positivity hits that negative field, it raises it, and then hopefully raises it for the person you did the nice thing to, that he may do it to the next and to the next and to the next. And maybe we can raise that level. And, you know, there's a million things out there that are concerns right now and problems, but one at a time, we just might be able to tackle them and make the world a better place.
Perfect. A perfect note to end on. I love you with all my heart.
I love you too.
Please give Cherie and the kids my love. And, you know, to all of you that are viewers of A World Awakening, let's move forward, hopefully, into 2023. With all my love, I wish you well. Best wishes and season's greetings. Good night.